Did you record it? Did you record it? When you're starting the space, did you record it? This is the space already. It hasn't started, right? So come and see this. This, when you don't tap this, you will lose it, the whole of it. I wish I knew this.
Okay, can make it seem like. So he can take maybe others. It seems to.
No. Where is she? Where is the owner of the phone? She has moved out? So you had not allowed us to some avenues of X, but we are there now. Showtime, guys. Let's do this. So you let me know when we have at least 10.
You have this. Who sent this thing?
They sent you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, showtime. It's 2 minutes past the time we agreed. It's 5:32 p.m. Ugandan time, and we're such an honor to be in your presence, to be in your ears. What we understand is the traffic around Kampala and other ideal places is underway. So those who are going to be listening in while you're traveling back home or picking students from, it's such an honor to be with you today. And those watching live, we understand you're streaming this live across the globe on YouTube. If you're abroad and you're watching this, it's such an honor to be in your space. My name is Andrew Chamagedo, a typical Muntu who loves financial inclusion for the people. And not only that, on seeing how best we can onboard as many Ugandans as we can into the financial space. One of the key agendas we have as a country is to make sure that we onboard as many people as we can into the money economy. Now, that task is for the government, but it has to be accelerated by you and I. And that's why we're having this conversation. So welcome to the space of financial inclusion through digital banking. And this is powered by Postbank Uganda. So listen, One thing that makes Postbank stand out, it's a bank that is owned by us, Ugandans, 100%. It's a bank that keeps our money. It's a bank that gives us products and facilities and credit facilities that make us thrive at the different layers of business. So if you're one of those Ugandans who are very grounded and you love your country, Postbank is your bank. And this session is going to look into the future of finance tailored for the tech-savvy Gen Zs and the millennials who are actually following this conversation. And you, the old one who is following this conversation, possibly the baby boomers. We have a couple of baby boomers here who are going to be a part of this. So imagine a world where the bank is always in your pockets, right in your hand. Imagine when you cannot, go out of your house to go to a banking hall and get into the queues, and you meet those, tired and sugar low tellers, but you're in power to do everything of yours on your phone. We totally understand that time and again they've told you, no, we have brought you this, we have brought you that. No, it's only Postbank that has actually made it much, much more easier. And that's a conversation we're going to have today, where financial empowerment is just a tap away, and digital banking, just so you know, it is being revolutionized again and again, where we manage money, break barriers, and continue creating more opportunities again and again. As a country, we are one of those that signed the SDGs, and we say no one should be left behind. And it's on that very agenda where we are having this conversation. So join us today as we explore how the digital banking is driving the financial inclusion, making banking accessible and at your own convenience. And this conversation is going to be here up to the hour of 7 p.m. So be a part of this. The hashtags actually are running differently. Postbank Uganda, that is one of the key hashtags. If you do that, I'll be in position to capture whatever you tell me. And in case I don't capture that, there is another hashtag that I can actually get you by: digital banking, financial inclusion, grow, prosper, and prosperity. If you use either of those, I'll be in position to capture you. Today, it's such an honor that we're joined by eminent brains of the digital banking, and all of them are seated on my right. See, those of you who come from the Christian perspective, you know that Jesus on the other side of heaven is seated on the right hand side of God. I don't want to play God now, but you understand that anything that is on the right hand side is something powerful. I have Mr. Justus Aribaho, who happens to be a co-founder of Fraha Financial Digital Banking. He's such an expert. And let me just, proof of life, let him speak to us. Good evening.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Great to see you too. Yeah, my name is Justus Aribariho. You know, you claim to be Pan-African, but
Aribariho.
you still can't pronounce some
Pronunciations differ.
That's great. I am a digital enthusiast.
Okay.
I love and specifically in the financial services industry. And I'm glad we are here to expound on some of those aspects.
Yeah.
I hope we can divulge into some others as well, but I think it's an important topic for us to have. It continues to maneuver and metamorphose itself into multiple forms, but we'll see how we can decipher that today.
Okay. Well, now that you've heard the digital enthusiast is here, but again, from the bank, that is Postbank Uganda, we have Mr. Ibrahim Kato, the Chief Retail Officer from Postbank Uganda. Proof of life. Kato, good evening, Ibra.
Good evening. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for hosting us.
It's such an honor to be here.
Yes. Kato Ibrahim. I like and love the thought of financial inclusion.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to be part of the discussion and being able to contribute to this discussion today.
Amazing. See, guys who have money, you can tell by their tone and choice of words. So if you're following this and you want to pay more attention to what Postbank does, please follow Kato on Twitter, and you'll be in position to understand how he retains us within Postbank. And finally, we have Mr. Adons Aryong, the head data analytics and retail products from Postbank. Good evening, Gary.
Good evening, Andrew. Thank you for hosting us. I'm Adon Sario, the head of data analytics and retail products at Postbank, and I'm honored to be part of this conversation to discuss financial inclusion for Ugandans spearheaded by digital banking.
Amazing. Well, the house seems to be full and the conversation is going to start right away. And I want to challenge you, if you're listening to this conversation, get yourself a book and a pen. Never attend any space where people are sharing ideas when you don't have a pen. You will become one of those fools that say that I can hear and I can understand. The brain was designed not to remember, but to understand. But what you write, there is power in writing. So get yourself a book and a pen and you write. And if you're driving and you're listening to this, kindly activate your Ota app so that it can take a script and the audio of this conversation. Let's start off this conversation, and I'll start with you, Eustace. So based on the extensive experience with the digital platforms, how do you see the digital banking landscape changing and transforming? And where do we find the inclusion? And in that entire journey, as a country, here you're going to have a national outlook. In this journey, what have you identified that seems to be pertinent in our journey as a country on this?
Thanks, Andrew. Just a little of a background about myself. I've been privileged to work with an organization that has been at the forefront of digital banking, and I'll not spoil the party since we had
Yes.
I have personally been involved in building 9 digital banks across Africa, including one in Uganda. I have been building digital platforms globally for some of the global financial institutions, and at the heart of financial inclusion. For us to understand digital banking and transformation, we need to first debunk those two terminologies. The terminology around digital, and then digital banking, and then the terminology around transformation.
Yes.
And then once you understand those two concepts, you get into the whole piece around inclusion. The reason I want to start with the former is because the terminology around inclusion, in most cases, has become a cliche. And so anyone and everyone can use it, right?
Yes.
Without necessarily hitting where we can see the impact.
Yes.
I just want to tell the people following us that the whole digital space, in fact, the whole transformation in the digital space has been with us for a while. It's not a new thing. If you look at the evolution of banks and financial institutions, if you look at the evolution of money and currencies, from barter trade to introducing actual currency as true storage of value. I mean, what is a piece of paper you have in your pocket? It's just a promissory note, a storage of value to say that I will actually make good on something. And because of that, some people sat behind it and said, we can actually use it as a form of exchanging goods and services. In the 70s and the 80s, as the technology boom was coming up, then we saw an accelerated growth in the space, specifically in the banking sector. The acceleration I'm talking about was about the technology boom. That's when then you started looking at ATMs. People are now starting to use ATMs. You started seeing people moving away from using general ledgers to actually using computers to do bookkeeping, which in itself continued to drive inclusion in some form and shape. Because if I could now attend to 5 customers in a day because we have bookkeeping to do, maybe now it can double because the computer can do that for me. So inclusion started peaking from those days. So I just want to make sure we understand that the whole digital, the whole technology space coming into play has been for a while. Let's try and define that digital space then. To my mind, digital means how we can use technology to solve problems. Using technology to solve problems. So the first step is you need to understand the problem, and then you look out for the right technology to solve the problem. And here we are dealing with financial inclusion, which is the problem. And so the question is, how do you use technology to drive financial inclusion? And hence the whole creation of the whole on digital banking.
Digital banking.
Now, I want to
Your
warn-
choice of words, déjà vu.
Yes. So I just want us to be very mindful that digital banking, although seems to be trendy and quite a piece that we speak about today, it's been around for a while. And what we're dealing with is how do we use technology to actually solve financial inclusion? On the other side, there's been a whole terminology around digital transformation as a driver for financial inclusion. You know, my English is quite limited, but to transform means to rebuild, to reset, to redo things. Which means anyone who claims to be on a journey for digital transformation needs to demonstrate
how it transforms.
That they are rebuilding from where they were. What we usually see is people thinking that actually simply having a mobile application is digital in its way. Right? You know, so we need to be mindful about that. That in itself is not nothing digital. But the real digital transformation is including our behavior, including the culture of our people. That's when you see it come to the core. And as we discuss later, we'll see how those still play a part. In my last over 20 years of banking experience, I have seen, and in Uganda in particular, I've seen a couple of things change, right? Of course, what we see is with financial institutions going digital and really transforming, we are seeing banking services becoming ubiquitous. Now, anyone and everyone can access a financial service. And by the way, that ubiquity has not only been created by financial institutions, but also other parties. If you see the role the telcos have played, it's a massive boost. Today, if you have more than 20-something million Ugandans with an active mobile wallet, that's a huge step. So we've seen financial service and banking services go ubiquitous. The second thing that we've really seen as a change is an element around financial education. I think by and large, now we see a lot of financial education going down, basic information around I can move funds from one place to another, basics around I can actually create a saving program, basics around increase in what we see as insurance policies that continues to grow. So we see that going up. So in my experience and what I see is those specific examples, banking services becoming ubiquitous, convenience in terms of services and speed at which they are getting delivered. We still have a long way to go as a country, as you will notice,
But is our journey promising?
Absolutely, absolutely promising. I mean, you would be, delusioned if it's to say that it's not. It's really moving. If you look at the statistics in terms of people who now have access to a bank account, that number has increased. If you look at not just a bank account, but even a module of transaction, in that case, a mobile device, that number has definitely more than tripled in the last 3 to 4 years. When you look at the speed of transactions, that is quite amazing. When you put that at the back of what we see as a revolution in the technology space in this country, that is also absolutely amazing. I look at the the government's investment in infrastructure has definitely, there's a long way to go,
but we have started.
We've moved in the right direction. We have some of the best technology servers in the country, etc. And more importantly, we are seeing in videos, in our communities, in our Muntu communities, really embracing understanding of finance. And I think that's the most important thing.
Amazing conversation there. If you don't understand any word, kindly just hashtag it for me. Samuel, I've seen you've sent the word. You'll actually break it down for us. Just to give you context, those of you who may not be understanding the conversation, according to the Bank of Uganda, as of 2023, that is last year, there was a 24.9% increase in active mobile banking users, rising from 1.9 million Ugandans to 2.4 million Ugandans within just 1 quarter. Now, the surge is attributed to a strong move towards digital banking. And this is why I want to come to you, Kato. The position where you are, financial inclusion through digital banking. just tell us, where does the strategy of Postbank meet the principle or the pillar of financial inclusion? And how do we actualize that from the Postbank's perspective?
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So Eustace has given us a good introduction. He has put quite a lot in perspective, and I want to tap into that.
Please.
So Postbank has a purpose, and we are driven by a purpose. Now, when you put a purpose into perspective, the purpose for Postbank is fostering prosperity for Ugandans. Now, when you say fostering prosperity for Ugandans, you have to put it into context. How do you foster prosperity for the Ugandans? What comes into mind is, one, providing sustainable, and I'll use the word sustainable financial solutions, or sustainable financial inclusion for the people to be able to access the money economy. Now, when you put that as well into perspective even deeper, it goes down. What is sustainable financial inclusion? What people want to see is affordable, convenient, and accessible services that will bring them into the money economy. Now, that is the journey that Postbank has embarked on in the recent past. If you've followed Postbank for some time, you realize that the journey we have embarked on in the last 4 years has been extremely digital. Both at when you go to our branch network, the ATM network, now the digital account that we shall talk about here today, which is the Zero Flex, and you also go into the wallet, which is the Wendy wallet, and how it interplays with each other. When you look at the entire journey, it's trying to bring quite a number of people into
The money economy.
the money economy. And that is the agenda for Postbank as a country. So that is what we are here to talk about, and that is what we shall expound as we go into our discussion today. And that is Postbank strategy. Fostering prosperity for Ugandans, providing sustainable financial inclusion solutions that are affordable, accessible, and convenient for the different people. Now, when you do that entire value chain, you're bringing quite a number of people on the table to do the difference.
And how has this journey been as Postbank? Because one time I was driving through Kikube in the oil corridor. I love being around that area because that's where the future is.
Yeah. Let's keep close.
Yeah.
And I saw one of your vans. It's a mobile bank, I guess,
Yes.
that moves through the communities.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by it, but we want to know, what has the journey been like for Postbank Uganda, onboarding people and just seeing them coming again and again? That it's a bank we own as Ugandans, but them getting onboarded into the digital banking and the experience.
Well, it's a challenging journey, but it's one that has its benefits, and it's quite interesting if you put it into context. Now, being able to, you've heard about what I'll call sustainability. Sustainability is you need to provide services that will enable people to do different activities, but also keep in the economy, doing different stuff across. Now, when you talk about the mobile vans in Chikube, it's not the future.
Yeah.
The future is really agency across the entire country, which we have provided under the wallet, with the Wendy wallet, but also the digital account. Now, when you put out the digital account, you put out the mobile wallet, and you enable the free access between the digital account and the wallet.
It gives me options.
In the future, it gives you options, but in the future, you don't need the mobile van. Right now, you need it because there are areas where people are not yet included the way you would want. Now, you need to provide such a service, extend it to them until you realize that there is sustainability in the way you'll be able to bring this service to the different people.
Amazing analogy there. If you're one of those that have your grandparents deep in the villages, and possibly they cannot use one of these services that are digital, Postbank has got you covered. But on the other side, they're telling you that the future is now. And we want to urge you that to take this information down to your judge, and you tell your judge that there is something that is big. Let me come to Adons. Adons, in his statements, Ibra keeps referring to Wendy wallets. Ibra keeps referring to our wallet payment. Highlight for us first of all, what is the product before Wendy? What is the product of Postbank when it gets to digital banking? What does it look like? What informed that journey? Because you're the guy with the data.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So Postbank has quite a number of products, and he mentioned about the wallet. So in that wallet, we have quite a number of products and services. But what is key to note is that we have recently launched a product called ZeroFlex. It's a digital account. We're talking about financial inclusion. We're talking about affordability. We're talking about accessibility and convenience. So this is the product that gives you all those different components. It's a product that you can open anywhere, any place of your convenience, wherever.
By anywhere, you mean I could be in Dubai, I could be in Russia?
Exactly.
Can it work in Russia?
Exactly. For as long as you have a national ID, a valid national ID,
Okay.
you have a passport, you have a refugee ID, you'll be able to open that account wherever.
Interesting. Refugee ID. Indulge me more. I love this. I love inclusion, and I'm grateful that the bank looks at the refugees here. What are the unique prerequisites a refugee needs?
So a refugee only needs an ID. That's all we need to open this account. You need a refugee ID, and also of course take some KYC data like your image. Also take location where.
What is KYD?
That's KYC is like information about the customer.
Okay.
Yeah, like your name, your date of birth, your age. That's the information you get from the refugee. But what is key is your identification ID.
Okay.
Yeah, this applies to even Ugandans. That's the national ID, it has to be valid. Secondly, if you're not a national, you can also open this account for as long as you have a passport.
Okay. Any other person can actually do this. How does this meet the needs of the Gen Zs and the millennials today?
Yes.
Because me, I'm a millennial, but my wife is a Gen Z. See my life. How does this meet their needs?
Yeah, so Gen Zs are mostly tech savvy.
Yeah.
And it's an account for you, an account which you open on your mobile, an account which you open on web, okay, on internet.
Okay.
So Gen Zs like affordable products and services. They like convenience. Okay, should be able to open an account in your bedroom. Should be able to open an account while in transit. So it's an account they need for the Gen Zs. To mention that this account can be opened by someone between the age of 18 to 64. So it also applies to you.
I love the 2 words you use there, zero and flex. What does the zero mean there for me? Because when I hear the word zero, it sounds to be free. Then flex, it means it's convenient. I can trick it the way I want it, whichever way I want to make a transaction. I could have gotten it wrong, but you help me understand these 2 words. The zero flex. What does it mean?
So zero means this account is free, zero charges.
Okay.
It's free. It's free.
Waited. You mean waited. Free.
In terms of we don't charge you monthly maintenance fee on this account. We don't charge you statement. You can receive your statement as and when for free. Secondly, you can move your money to your wallet for free for as long as you have a Wendy wallet. So banked wallet charges are waived, so you don't have to pay. Secondly, I mentioned about maintenance fee. It's free, and statements for this account. So it is a zero charge account.
So anything I do on this account is entirely free.
It's entirely free, and of course for the flex, it's a very flexible account.
Okay, what can I buy using the Zero Flex account?
So,
can I buy a condom using that account? I'm speaking about the Gen Zs because they buy pills, they buy clothes, they buy data, they buy condoms, and we're not going to shower about this because they're sexually active, and as a country need to protect them as well. Can they buy a condom on that?
Yeah, yes. You can buy for as long as you maintain, you have money on this account, you maintain a certain balance on this account. You're free to buy whatever you want, and maybe to mention, this account seamlessly integrates with our wallet, so you can push money to the wallet, and on our wallet we have quite a number of products you can also purchase. On our wallet, including we are soon having marketplace on our wallet
Okay.
that you can as well, use to make purchases.
Can I order for border be using the ZeroFlex?
No, not for now.
Not for now.
Yeah.
So it can be used to deal with house bills, school fees, pay electricity bills, Yaka, and the likes. I love this conversation. And please keep the questions coming. It's just 1 minute to the very top of the hour. The very first 30 minutes seem to be much more interesting. I love where the conversation is going. For now, you cannot order your border B guy, and you cannot order for your pills or your condom. But one thing that is for sure is that you can pay everyone there. Make sure that your landlord is on. You tell them that if rent takes long to come because they're not within your space, so you tell them to get to the ZeroFlex, and this conversation be very great. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to have the conversation with them. And in case you have a few questions, kindly use those hashtags and tag Postbank Uganda and tag at Chamagirandra will be in position to pick those questions and send them down to the experts here. Let me come back to the financial enthusiast here.
Yeah.
I saw you laughing when we talked about this and that. But in your conversation, you use the word culture. 4 times when you're speaking. You say the culture, the culture, the culture. Where does our culture meet this transformation? And how do we keep it intact? Especially the millennials and the Gen Zs. Keep in mind that sometimes I would like to send my mother or my father some money deep in Namulugwe, some money. How do I make sure that he's equally onboarded into the platforms of this? So where does our culture meet the old culture? But again, we're all in the transformation journey.
Good. So that's an interesting question, and I'm going to be a little bit provocative.
Please.
To my friends at
Yes.
Postbank. Thankfully, I'm the neutral party here. I'll be that.
Yeah.
Culture is a way of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's important we note that the digital transformation to happen, it includes cultural transformation. By culture, I mean the way we do things, our way of life. Right? That will definitely include at the consumer side, at the people who work in financial institutions to believe that actually this can change lives. At the regulatory environment, at the regulatory level, at the political landscape, that is the culture that actually technology can help us solve problems, that digital can actually help us financial inclusion challenges. Where we tend to have the challenge from a cultural perspective, us as bankers, is to think that we can just do the same old things, put them on a technology platform, and then expect society to change and call that transformation and drive it as part of inclusion.
So we copy it from the way it was done before?
Correct.
Upload it on the digital?
Yes.
And we want to run.
Absolutely. Right. And I think that's where the real challenge is, and that's what I'm talking about, a cultural shift. If you look at banks and how we've been operating in the past, the culture of banks, if you sit back and ask yourself, why haven't people been opening bank accounts? Why don't people have banking relationships?
Well, if you come down to ground, where I go with Abantu Bawansi, they use the word Oluzungurunchi. Sign here, sign there.
And this is where we need to get into the gist of it. And that's where the culture change is important. That from a banking perspective, we've been cultured in such a way by many things, by the way, either the regulatory environment
and our belief systems,
our belief system, the way we've been trained as bankers, and hence we've created a certain aura that keeps people aloof of coming to banks, and that has been one of the drivers of why certain people are not included in the money economy.
Yeah.
There are 2 categories of people you need to look at. The first one in the financial inclusion world is who we define as unserved.
Yeah.
And then there's a second category called underserved.
Nice. Break it down.
Unserved are those who have not accessed any financial service. who feel within themselves, I cannot afford to have a banking service. And afford, I'm not talking about cost. I'm talking about everything that we built a banking service to do, including cost. Underserved is those who actually come in. We onboard them through, and I'm glad Postbank is coming to the party with this solution. But when they come in, so what?
The experience.
Is banking just about opening a bank account?
There is a lot more.
That's what digital is supposed to solve for. Are you giving an experience that transforms my life for me to partake of financial services? The culture I'm talking about is you cannot drive bank accounts before you transform people from a financial education perspective.
The mindset has to be onboarded.
How will you drive an investment product on a digital platform before people understand what a bond is?
The treasury bill.
You know what I mean? And that's possibly the underserved people I'm talking about here, even before you go to unserved.
Yeah.
How will you demystify the aura of telling this guy that you need sign here, sign there, as you say, so that they actually come into a banking service? You know, are we using technology to make that shift in the culture so that we make sure that the unserved and underserved now come to the party? If we talk about a money economy, some of the things that we should be solving for is how do we manage cash? You think about that for a second. All cash economy, and it has its own challenges, as you've seen. How many people are gunned down because they're carrying cash? How many? So how are we dealing with some of those artifacts in terms of reducing some of that money circulating? We are still on a journey. It might sound that it is way up there. And I know you keep telling me I'm on to one, which is absolutely right.
Yes.
But how can you look at a market like India, let's start making comparisons. You can be on a street buying tomatoes, and that guy has a QR code for
I think just trying to, let's just go to the neighbor here in Kenya.
Right. So all I'm saying is financial inclusion is really not just about opening a banking account.
Yeah.
A financial service provision platform can even go beyond that. And this is where I'm saying that from a digital banking and financial transformation perspective, we've got to go beyond and understand what are the reasons why people in Uganda do not have banking relationships. Now, how do we then use technology to start those relationships?
To bring them
very, very important. And at the core of that is a cultural matter. People think about us as bankers or banking in general, and the consumers have taken that. The first step, of course, digital has done is take away the need of buildings to have a banking relationship.
Thank you.
And here's Postbank coming into the space saying, I can give you bank in your mobile.
Yes.
But that's just an access. What happens after that?
The journey.
What happens?
The conversation is getting this, and I can see Adons is burning to respond to this. So what? So you've onboarded me to Zero Flex. What should I expect on this journey? And I think he brings a very great context to that. Where does Zero Flex meet our culture as Ugandans?
Thanks so much. So with the Zero Flex account, it's a route to quite a number of financial services and products. It's a transacting account. You mentioned about the different payments that you can make using this account. I mentioned about investment decisions that someone has to make. So it routes you to quite a number of investment options that the bank has. We talked about affordability. And this is very key in terms of affordability, in terms of convenience, and being your own relationship manager or your own account manager. Of course, the bank will come in to manage the relationship, but you're the manager of this account, implying that you can access this account 24/7. That is key. You can access this account on multiple, banking platforms. That's on your Postbank mobile app. You can access it on your internet banking. You can use this account, to make investments. For example, on your Wendy, on your Wendy, where we pay, a considerable amount of interest for making investments. So this is an account that I so much believe is coming in, include quite a number of Ugandans. We talked about the underbanked,
Underserved.
and the unbanked. So the underserved, this would be another, product that you could, have, so that you have, quite a number of services that you can enjoy in the banking space.
And Kato, let me come to you in returning. Thank you, Adons. Kato, looking at this, you cannot achieve the banking experience Postbank is promising us without collaborations and partnerships. What are some of the key partnerships and collaboration does Postbank have to guarantee me an entire banking experience that will illuminate me with the different products, the ones you have, and how that information can then transform my life from a household level?
Okay, so I want to give this a spin and put it in perspective again, coming back a bit to Eustace and then add-ons, and then I'll come to that. You spoke about how different is this. When Addons was talking to us about the journey of a digital account, he mentioned two things. One, you can either onboard using an app, or you can use a link. Now, when you look at the two things, it means somehow it involves a smartphone, or it involves you using internet. Not necessarily that the population or the masses in Uganda are there. And that's the uniqueness of a digital account. Back to perspective, the majority of Ugandans using, or who can use the digital platform quite conveniently, are in where you would say the concentration of our economy. Kampala, Wakiso, and the like. Now, you'll ask a question, how have you catered for the people
In a BIM district.
in a BIM district, Karamoja, and the like? Now, that is the interplay. You're saying you've rolled out the Zero Flex digital account to attract quite a number of Ugandans to get on there. You've dropped all the charges to encourage them to do their businesses, however small. But in the evening, I have the confidence to leave my money on a bank account as opposed to going back home with it. And I know I can access it very early tomorrow in the morning and do my business. Now, how does it play with all the other solutions? A solution can never cater to everyone, but you can have a buffet of solutions that will create some kind of inclusivity. And that's why Postbank has come up with a digital account at around the same time we have launched a mobile wallet. Now, after launching the digital account, you're saying we have made it free of charge. You're moving your money from the digital account to whichever wallet. What are you trying to do? You're trying to create convenience that if I have people in the village, I'm able to encourage them that I can send you money on your wallet on Wendy, free of charge. So I'm trying to bring them into the economy, do the small business, don't feel the pain of a charge. At the end of the day, they're encouraged to use the financial services. You can't take away everything. But most importantly, with a digital account and the wallet, you're creating employment opportunities. You're creating agency across the entire country. You're not just opening or encouraging people to open wallets. You're telling them that in your communities, let some of you, you can, exactly, you can be the bank. So you have the digital account where there is convenience of moving money from one place to another, but the guy in the village can receive it. He can be the bank, the village bank. But you're also encouraging people to save. People are going to save on there, and they're going to earn interest. For example, on the wallet. And I'm telling you that when you go to the wallet, the guy saves money at the end of the day, and you're earning up to 10% per annum. I'll challenge anyone to do that. The convenience is, on the wallet, you can save earn your 10% per annum, but you have access to your money real time. So if a deal comes, and some of our people have a deal they will do today and another on Wednesday, but they want access to their money. The other options will require you, if you've made an investment, either you break it, you will not get your interest, or you will notify for you to access your money at a later date. What this convenience is giving you is that whenever you want to access it, you earn money on a daily basis on the wallet. But even the partners you have, wherever they are in the satellites, they're able to transact with you. So the interplay between a bank account and the wallet. Then secondly, it's also giving you convenience to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and you can transact with whoever you want at any time, 24/7.
Is this limited to only those within the Postbank accounting frameworks, or even those using merchant codes?
Okay, it is. It covers the merchant codes as well. And I want to go to the partnerships now. So as a bank, we are aware that there is space for all of us to contribute significantly to financial. Quite a number of players. One, MTN and Airtel. They are the telecos, they're quite spread, and they have done a good job around financial inclusion. We have gone ahead to partner with banks, housing finance, Pride Microfinance.
For now, we'll mention those.
So we have partnered with quite a number of banks. Why are we doing that? To create an ecosystem where there is convenience of you to do whatever you're doing, grow the jobs, grow the economy. People create the different jobs wherever they are and feel like they can actually thrive. Then my brother talked about the experience. Now, one of the most used aspects in Uganda, or one thing that is quite unique about us and the different statistics we have seen, is the mobile phone. It's quite spread, and it has spread faster than anything you can imagine. Now, what the digital account gives you, or the Zero Flex account gives you, is that you can use it on your phone, but you have the interplay with Wendy as well. And that's the unique thing that brings all of us together. So it brings that accessibility that we were talking about quite earlier, and we're able to achieve that. But you asked the question, Andrew.
Yes, the question was looking around collaboration, because experience will of course be accelerated more with partners that meet my need. And I was wondering, what kind of partners do we have besides MTN and a couple of other banks that bring this in the interplay? There is a one Chobe Mwesigwa on Salama Road. He has asked a very simple question. So on ground they call me Chair. So he said, Chair, kino kirekawo employment of the bankers now. Temuyiye bantu.
So it's important for all of us to appreciate one thing, that technology can't exist on its own.
It needs people.
It needs people. So whatever technology is trying to achieve, there will always be people. Yes, you will lose some. And it's a fact of life. But then that's the evolution of everything that we do. That whatever we are achieving with technology today, there are quite a number of opportunities that technology creates. Data analysts, opportunities in that space. It creates people to do AI. Go and use AI to become more valuable to your employer. Create and be more innovative. So there are quite a number of opportunities. But for me, technology and the question of people, not necessarily true. It only depends on how and what perspective.
Okay, I'll drop this question to Adonis. In the interest of time, we're going to make it much more interactive, if you may allow. Someone asked, the conversation seems to be more around smartphones. Where does this leave the USSD code? And what schools are onboarded? Do we have a list of schools that are onboarded on this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. I think as Ibra mentioned, as Postbank, we cater for all segments, in banking. So for this specific account, it's entirely on mobile and internet banking. However, we have options for such a segment. For example, USSD. We have a mobile wallet, which we discussed as well. that is accessible for USSD as well as accessible on mobile and internet. Yeah.
Okay. Someone says, can I use the Flex account? Really, Francis Lutalo. Okay, Francis is asking, can I use a zero Flex account to buy a microwave? You respond to
Oh
this.
yes. So a zero flex account it can be used for all payments. It can be
Okay.
used for all payments.
Okay.
including the payment for the items you asked earlier.
Okay.
So for any payment,
Yeah.
bills or whatever, you can use the Flexi.
The
Zero Flex
the zero
account.
Flex, and you do it.
Yes, you can be able to use.
Okay. Let me bring it back to Eustace here. Listening to this conversation, where do you see the future like? And where do we balance the innovations today and the future ahead of us as a country in the event that we are having all these zero Flex and the others?
I think you are going to see a couple of things, and I'm not a futurist, but I can predict a few things. I think where we're going, of course, like every other country, like other economies, technology is a very good balancing act. That's the one thing that it has done. So, and it's good for us as a country to be moving on the same trajectory. So you are going to see increased increased numbers of people getting into the money economy. So that's definitely going to happen, and it's going to build an explosion of sorts, which will force financial institutions to continue now to design and think for new products that they can offer. The second thing that we are seeing is a significant shift in terms of the customer tastes and preferences. In fact, you'll even notice that part of the reasons why the likes of Postbank are pushed to do what we are doing is because of what you talked about earlier. When you look at the Gen Zs, right? These guys have never entered the banking hall because, as the baby boomers, have actually
Been there.
have been reducing going there, right? So if my son has never entered the banking hall, it's going to be very difficult to convince him that actually banking can be done in a building, that I need to go to a building to do banking.
Doesn't make sense.
And so the shift in the consumer taste and preference is definitely going to continue to reshape how we think, and it's going to continue to put us under significant pressure to meet those needs, and hence the innovations we are going to see. The third thing you are going to see is you are going to see us get compelled to be data-driven, which we have not been in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So what Ibra talked about, creation of new jobs, data analysts, we have one in our midst right here. You are going to see more drive around data and how it's going to reshape how we think. And we are going to see, in this I'm talking about even being able to predict, to be able to predict next best options. That's going to be another trend you're going to see. That the customer doesn't have to tell me what product to give them. I'll simply have to use data to predict the next best move. And I will be most likely 98% correct on what they need to do next. The fourth thing you're going to see is you are definitely going to see a number of financial institutions that cannot actually play in this digital space start to wind up. And that, I know that could be sounding as if I'm scaremongering, but you are going to see it actually happen. If you're not going to join the party, you are definitely going to wind up because you're not going to be one that the Gen Zs actually prefer. Just to digress a bit, did you see the headline when they produced the preliminary results of the national census that just took place?
Yes, I saw the headline.
That headline was saying what?
I can only quote Daily Monitor.
Okay.
Others I can't.
Okay, there's one I saw. I don't know. Okay, I will not mention.
Okay.
But there's one that clearly says that Uganda is estimated to be 45 million people.
Yeah.
And 50% of that number is under the age of 17. Did you see that?
Yes, I do.
What does it tell you about financial services?
have a
It's huge.
lot of work to do.
That's quite revealing.
Mm.
It's a very massive revelation
Yeah.
that you need to see and smell the coffee.
Mm.
You know, these kids, in fact, they are no longer using Facebook. They don't use Facebook, that generation.
They don't.
At best, they are now, in fact, they're also migrating from Instagram.
Yeah.
They have now shifted to,
Twitter.
they're not on Twitter, those guys.
They're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok.
They're on Snapchat and TikTok.
Mm.
Which means that the way they consume information, including banking, is going to change.
Yeah.
It's good to be consumed via videos.
Mm.
So I hope this telecast in some form, and they have a very short attention span.
12 seconds.
So this conversation we're having over 1.5 hours,
Yes.
how do you compress it as a financial institution and package it under 20 seconds to make it viral? What is going to be the tipping point?
For them to get the attention.
Exactly. So for me, what I see is a significant amount of pressure mounting as financial institutions to now shift our thinking. And that's why I was emphasizing the term around culture.
Yeah.
To shift our thinking, to start handling, Uganda has potentially 24 million people, 22 million people who are under the age of 17, who actually, we need to start thinking through as we develop all these and design these products. So the whole thing around design thinking, those basic principles of design thinking, and I predict to see, us getting pressured to go back to that zone and now start thinking through, how do you deal with this younger generation? So basically going back to basics. Because banking as it were, as we knew it, is definitely going to change, clearly driven by the demographics we see. Those are some of the things I see. I see us moving in the payment spaces. I think we are going to see less cash moving from one place to another, and I think that is starting to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Oh God. I am one of those Ugandans who hate cash.
Exactly, right? and then I think in the regulatory space, I think the regulators are playing ball. You're also going to see a significant shift in that space as they continue to, indulge us in our ask to say, can we do things differently? Happy times ahead of us.
Okay. Katai went to see, where does Postbank fit in the future? Man of God has seen.
Exactly. I was eager to add something.
Yes, please.
So he brought the population dynamics.
Yeah.
And he rightly stated that 50.5% of the population is 0 to 17, according to the recent census. Now, at the start of this discussion, I highlighted that we are driven by purpose. We respond to customer preferences, customer needs, driven by data. Now, if you have that 50% between 0 to 17, and then you have the youth, and for purposes of the census, the youth were 22%, but that was between 18 and 30. That's the youth. That's the definition of youth in the census. Now, what does it bring to your mind? You need to innovate, you need to evolve to be able to serve their needs. He also rightly mentioned that where we are headed, when I started banking, I won't mention when, for clear purposes.
Don't worry, Nila ain't listening.
When I started banking, there is one thing I remember quite vividly. Customers or people would line up in a banking hall, outside the banking hall, and the need was to open an account.
Correct.
It evolved. They stopped coming to the banking hall. We started going to them in the field.
Forms.
With forms.
Yes.
We were looking for them.
They phoned me with the form.
Exactly. Now, why I'm saying we speak and are driven by purpose. So when we get information driven by data, and we are seeing that the Gen Zs and the younger population prefers convenience and to do things at their comfort, you can't continue to expect things to happen the same way. And that informs why we have moved into the Zero Flex account, to create that environment where they can continue getting the banking services but also the other financial solutions. I like talking about banking services
Yes.
with other solutions because they are no longer sustainable in isolation. That's the partnerships. That's the interplay. So for me, I think that's the key word. Responding to the customer preferences across board and responding to the shift in what is required of us. And that is driven by demand. It is driven by
great conversations there. 1 minute to 6:30, but your questions are they keep coming. Please use the hashtag Postbank Uganda. I'll be in position to pick your questions and those that are already coming through. The hashtag is ZeroFlex. The other hashtag is Grow Prosper. And the final one is Postbank Uganda. Please, when you send in that, I'll be in position to get one. There is one that is coming for you, Kato. I've already seen it here. Let me just dive into add-ons. You talked about the Gen Zs and the millennials wanting to bring these closer to them. I want to understand, how does one gets onboarded with ZeroFlex? What do I do? Is it an app? Is it a link? Where do I go that I can find it? And then I get, into the entire journey, the navigation of it.
Yeah, so there are two options. And the first one, you can download their Postbank app on Google Play Store or App Store.
It's called Postbank app.
Yeah, it's Postbank app.
Okay.
That's the first option. And of course, when you download the Postbank app, you're going to see open account. So when you click on open account, it takes you and shows you multiple accounts, but the ZeroFlex account is the very first account.
Okay.
Then secondly, you can open this account on web. You can go to the Postbank website. You go to products and services, rather open accounts, and you're going to see ZeroFlex accounts, the very first account that you will see there. With that, you'll be able to open the account.
Okay. There is a question that came in through. Where does you use the word inclusion in your statements when you're speaking? But I can tell that the entire panel is geared up by men. Where do the women or the girls find their footing in this entire conversation?
So this account is for all gender and it's for all Ugandans. So even the ladies and the men can open this account.
Yeah.
So,
well, just to be very clear to those of you who are watching this conversation, wherever you're watching from, you can see that we're just men here, but just so you know that we have a whole conglomerate of women behind this, making sure that we run this. Women are very great at organizing, and it's not only that, there are products and services within Postbank that actually address inclusion, where women are very strong in business. So just visit the website. This is nothing to do with gender insensitivity. Postbank is cognizant of this agenda, and we plug rightly into it greatly. Kato, where does this leave omuntu awansi with USSD code? Tutambule butambuzi tujjaawo ku banka oba?
So Andrew, just to add on what Adon said, and then I come in there. You mentioned something earlier that I don't want to leave on the table. You highlighted the attention span.
12 seconds.
12 seconds.
Yes. Do you know the entire bulletin I read on air when I'm reading news?
Okay.
I read the entire bulletin for 1 minute and 20 seconds.
1 minute and 20 seconds.
So whenever I'm reading a lead on air, I read it for a maximum of 6 seconds to 10.
Amazing. Amazing. But that comes with some experience.
Of course, yes.
Yes, and that's what I want to speak into.
Yes.
So you mentioned the concentration span or attention span of these guys. But for me, I don't want to think it's them. Mine has become less. Maybe I'm impatient when I'm doing anything.
Yes.
I want things to happen quite fast.
Yeah.
That speaks to the digital account.
The swiftness.
Of your ability to open. Now, if you log onto our app, if you log onto our link and you want to open a digital account, and we haven't beaten you yet at 3 minutes, at 1.20 seconds, you can open a digital account in exactly 3 minutes, and you are able to access services.
3 minutes max.
3 minutes, 5 minutes. Now, it depends, because there's some verifications we shall do. You'll do your 3 minutes, but take a picture where we can't, and you won't get the verification. So you will repeat over and over again and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say here is we are trying to speak into that swiftness, that ease of onboarding. Then you've asked me something that I want to
Yes,
get
so
into.
something to do with the USSD code.
You mentioned something to do with the USSD.
Yes.
USSD is a very big tool around inclusivity. Right now, we don't have the digital account on the USSD. We don't. And why? It is because of what he said earlier. We have compliance. Each and every customer, exactly, it's a buffet model. So all our customers want us to protect them. So we can't do things that don't provide that protection, safety and security. So for us to open that account, there is minimum levels of compliance we need to abide with. Part of that is we shall take a picture of your national ID. We want to know who is opening the account and stuff like that. Unfortunately, when you talk USSD, you can do USSD on a smartphone, but you can't do, on the other way around. So we have catered to the digital account for the people who can use a smartphone and the USSD on a smartphone. But we have also provided services on a smartphone, on a kabiriti, or what you call a feature phone, the USSD feature, to be able to access banking services. So when you open an account, you can still access banking services using the USSD. Now, it's also important for us to appreciate that not to have a bank account. There are some services you want to access using a bank account, and then there is another guy in a beam in Uganda, where I come from, who just doesn't need a bank. All they need is to be able to be included in, exactly. So now you can use our wallet, which can give you access to do everything as though you are accessing a bank, but within the confines of what you can do on a USSD.
Okay. The other question comes to you, the data analysis add-ons here. Earlier on, they mentioned the national ID, the refugee ID or passport. How safe is our data?
So our data is safe. Postbank is it's our mandate. We are licensed by the Bank of Uganda to protect our customer data. Secondly, as a bank, we have a robust infrastructure in terms of technology to protect our customer data. So the data is safe.
Okay. More questions are coming in here. I see Pablo Escobar, Sewava. It says, what are the terms and conditions of LPO financing? Can someone access this using the ZeroFlex? We bring it to you, Kato.
The ZeroFlex account is a current account. We have quite a number of features we would consider in LPO financing. Can you access LPO financing using a ZeroFlex account? Again, it's a current account. You can access all the services the bank has to offer using the ZeroFlex account.
Okay. Someone here says, thank you so much for the opportunity to create awareness. I'm loving this conversation. Habimanya Henry, our team has seen this tweet, and I'm sure they're going to get back to you as fast as possible. This conversation is still going on. Someone says, can I open up a ZeroFlex account for my children? And if so, what does it take? Do I upload their national IDs or I upload mine?
Yeah, thank you so much. ZeroFlex account, the age bracket is between 18 to 64 years.
Okay.
So if the child is above 18 years, they can open the account.
Okay, more questions are coming in. Someone says, this app you're telling us never works ever since I downloaded it, yet I even have an account. Give more clarity on this. On those, because he has taken a screenshot here, Iron Hat, and he seems to be a little bit irritated. Whenever he tries to log in, this is the interface, right? And every time he does, this is the message that comes. Dear customer, sorry for the inconvenience. We're unable to serve your request at the point of time. Please try again after some time. So do people have to update their apps? Do you do some maintenance in the back end where we have to re-update or reinstall?
So thank you so much. So there are people mentioned about validation.
Yeah.
So if the data that you provided while opening an account is not clear, and it fails the validation, you might face some issues. However, our customer experience team will contact you. Secondly, if the issue persists and our customer service has not contacted you, you can visit any of our branches and you will get support.
Okay, Kato, you said everyone can use this. Those in the diaspora, how do they get on board?
So, Adams mentioned earlier, the minimum requirement is national ID for validation, and you to be able to take an image or a picture. So whether you're in the diaspora, you can download the Postbank app and you are able to follow the process. When you download the Postbank app, the first item on the app is open an account. Now, when you open an account, you'll automatically see Zero Flex account and you go through all the processes. It's quite quick, quite fast, and you'll get an account in as low as 2 minutes. Sorry, 2 seconds. So whether you're in the diaspora or wherever you are able to download the Postbank app and open an account. If you can't download the Postbank app, then you can visit the Postbank website and you'll see the icon, open an account. You'll be able to do this.
Okay, with the Flex, Zero Flex, you initially say that we need a national ID, which has all my sub-county, village, and all that. But again, when you're going to the interface, it shows that, again, I have to fill in this. What are you doing about that, that it captures all this detail you're asking from my national ID, that it just gets filled in automatically? Because some people don't even know their villages.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we have integration with NIRA. If you take an image of your national ID and it's very clear, most of the information on the ID will be automatically populated in those fields. However, if the national ID is not clear, that information you have to put in manually.
Okay.
Yeah, but if the national ID is clear, all that information will be captured and there's no need for it entering it.
Can someone masquerade like to be Chamagero and uses my national ID and puts it in there in the system? You know the way we do the photocopies, and possibly I dropped it somewhere and someone picks it and Kato goes and is trying to open another Flex account using my national ID. Is it possible?
It's not possible. That's why we have another layer of validation. These accounts are validated, and secondly, the integration with our NIRA very well. But on top of that, we also do validate as a bank. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not possible.
Well, the conversation is still going on. We have like 19 minutes to wrap this conversation. Those sending in questions, please keep them coming. Keep them. It's getting interesting here. The people that are asking questions that don't rhyme with this particular conversation, our team is looking through, and I'm sure they're actually going to reach out to you. Whoever has that, I've seen one that is coming in from Henry. Henry, your question does not sync with the current conversation, but I'm sure someone has actually sent you a DM, and Habimanya Henry, yes, someone will actually reach out to you just to make sure that everything is actually fine and we're running as we need to see this. Let me come back to Justice here. What do we need to do as Ugandans if we're to run this race with our Postbank Uganda? Because they're looking at something, they're looking at fostering prosperity for Ugandans. I want us to scale it as down as household level. What is our call to action?
I think you need to look at it at 3 levels, in my opinion. And what comes to mind is first, at the financial institution level, at the bank level. And there are about 3 things that need to get done at that level. The first one is around really understanding the customer needs, so that the solutions being designed are tailored to that. And that's very, very important. I do appreciate that of those problems, I need to start a relationship, which is a good step that Postbank, of course, has always done and continues to do, and now enabling it to become ubiquitous. So that's very important, because you go back to design thinking in terms of solving those problems. Because you could argue and say, why haven't people been opening accounts? Is it because we're charging them a lot of money and hence we need to drop the charges, right? Or is it because they were bringing so many things and we reduced them? You know, if you think for a second and take a step back and ask, you know, traditionally, why were banks asking for a residential address, proof of residence? Are you taking away those barriers of entry to make sure that you actually enable the unserved or unbanked communities get it? So that's one thing that is going to definitely play a part in terms of measuring success. The second one is, which is a typical problem of banks, is temptation to automate failed processes. I mentioned this earlier, and if you attempt to do that, and then you call it digital, you'll definitely fail. So that's to be a shift, a significant shift in saying we're going to do this afresh.
Okay.
And move away from all those failed processes. I keep thinking about the process for lending. Payslip, right?
Yeah.
Where I need a payslip, I need to call your HR and confirm that you actually work there, etc. Right?
Or someone with an LPO, you need to call the procurement office on the other side to confirm if
so maybe from a financial inclusion, exactly. So how do you deal with that, right? Because it's a process we've built, but are we going to be forced to rethink something like that? And then the other part to the bank is, how do you deal with legacy technology?
Yeah.
It's spaghetti of systems, spaghetti of technologies. How do you deal with that legacy, right? Because it's not easy to move away completely, and that brings in the question around cost to deploy some of these things, etc. You know, what's the commitment to get that? So that's one part at the bank. They need a support system which comes from, say, the regulatory environment, right? One of the things I can tell you is Bank of Uganda is one of the most amazing regulators I have met as I work globally. Very proactive, you know, quite keen to do things differently. But I guess that's where they'll need to, as banks, we need to continue to influence some change, especially around regulation, around some of these things, to specifically deal with things around how do we remove barriers of entry into getting people into the money economy.
Yeah.
So have you asked yourself why the revolution of mobile money?
Well, there is inclusion.
But what drove that inclusion?
Frustration.
There was no barrier of entry. What was the regulation around opening? There was none. Because when you get a mobile phone number, it automatically comes with a mobile wallet.
It's automated.
But if you look at the requirement to open a bank account, which I know maybe Postbank would want to do away with, some they can't.
Yeah.
But there is technology to solve that problem. So how can they be advocates with maybe the Bankers Association, etc., advocate and demonstrate that technology can actually solve these problems and hence remove barriers of entry into the system? I guess that's where the support system I talked about.
Yeah.
And then the final one is at the consumer level. The consumer level, how do you drive adoption? How do you drive adoption? Because, and this is why you talked about financial education. How do people trust that the beautiful product they're bringing?
Zero flex.
You asked a question, how safe is our data?
Yes.
You know, because today we're scared about, I have money, you know, in my house and people are going to break in and take the money. Today I don't need to break into your house.
My data.
I just need to access this beautiful piece they're putting out, and then I deal with it. So information cyber security is one of the biggest things of our modern time. He talked about creation of jobs. He talked about, you know, the advantages of this.
Yeah.
You know, cyber security is like so crazy. So how do you drive adoption by confirming to consumers and letting them know that they're in a safe environment? Because you know one thing, if you go to markets in Asia, as an example, in Taiwan, it's difficult to shut branches, and yet they're the most tech savvy. You know why? Because they just feel going to the bank cements my relationship. It's actually a nice thing. People dress up nicely
To go to the
to
bank.
go to the bank.
Mm.
And they don't find it an inconvenience.
Mm.
And go have a cup of coffee after the one transaction, they go. So the point is, how do you drive, start moving them in the digital space and be comfortable? And then how do you also make them appreciate the services that the digital space can actually bring into play? I think for me, those are the questions that financial institutions have to continue to ask themselves. And those are the provocative things that beyond just now doing the first step, which Postbank is doing. And actually, I appreciate it's not really the first step. It's quite a bit of work at the back, as you had the gentleman explain. I guess it's now how do we take it to the next level? And to take it to the next level, you got to address these three aspects I've talked about, including advocacy at the regulatory level. Now, keep in mind, Bank of Uganda doesn't make regulations.
Oh, yes.
The rules are passed by someone, right?
Yes.
And we know where those people sit, right?
Do they even understand?
I don't answer that question. You have liberty to ask that question. So I want you to appreciate where this is going.
Yes.
So the conversation goes beyond that. And sometimes we just think Bank of Uganda implements. It's an implementation body.
Yeah.
So how do we influence policy process? How do we influence regulation to make sure that we continue to break the barriers of entry? For me, that is one of the things that has hindered the whole inclusion piece. And then you get weak because if indeed periodically you have to tell me to go and validate physically
your data,
validate identity, blah, blah, blah. Brother, tell me how many people I need to put on the street to do that. How costly is it? Yet technology can enable me actually keep up to date. I'm glad now we have connectivity to NIRA, so I don't need to go to everyone, right? So some of these things, how do we look at that and continue to evolve
with the systems?
With the system and as we bring people on board. I think those would be the areas I would look at.
Wow. Amazing there, Kato. Do you want to give us possibly a preamble? Let me just pop you a bit. With all that he has alluded to, where are we as Postbank?
In terms of
the customer experience.
That
is something very key.
Yeah.
And then he has equally hinted about something to do with the customer update of data. The other day I went to one of my bank where I opened my bank account in 2004. They told me to update my picture. I asked them to show me my picture. Believe you me, unless I give them the details, they wouldn't. I look. It's a different person altogether.
Yeah.
With the Zero Flex, there is an element of seeing something to do with recording a small 5-second video. What does that help in the data authentication?
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with the journey, Andrew. And I like speaking about where we're from, but that's the past.
Yeah.
Now I'll stick to the present.
Yeah.
There is quite a lot that has happened, but speaking to now, you are able to do anything you want at your convenience. And I'm going to speak about the customer updates. When you go to either the Postbank app or to the Postbank web, there is a link you'll follow to update your records with the bank on your own. So when you do the update, we shall authenticate that and all will be updated. So you do not necessarily have to come to the bank. But what is the challenge and what is the opportunity there? Yes, our people do not know, but we can sensitize and we can do more, we can do better. He spoke about what we have control over, advocacy. You don't have control end to end, but you can continue to advocate. And for me, I like to give some credit where it's due.
Yes.
Bank of Uganda as a regulator has been extremely supportive when it comes to the evolution or the transformation journey.
Yeah.
Our legislators have also played their part. And you know, we shall always need more. But they have played their part. We can do more, we can do better. But then I also like bringing in the partners. Are we doing enough as banks? Are we doing enough as government entities, government parastatals? We need to all come out there and do the financial literacy educate our people, and bring them up to speed. Has the government done work there? Most definitely. Commendable work, especially in the last 4 years.
Yes.
I won't speak beyond that. Is there work to do? A lot of work. And that is what we are committed to do. Now, I can speak on the part of Postbank. In the recent past, even in 2 years, we have spent heavily, if you look at our financials, specifically around the financial literacy. The work we are doing there, you can't detach the objective we are trying to achieve as a bank in terms of purpose and financial literacy. So we shall continue to invest heavily, and that's our commitment, to ensure that our people are up to par. Where have we started from? Where it is needed most. It doesn't mean that it's not needed in the central or Akiso or the like, but we have started in the outskirts of Uganda, coming into the parts of the country that are here. Then about data security and all, I want to emphasize one thing. We have a very robust internal compliance governance framework before we roll out any kind of platform that ensures that our customers are actually safe. But before we even do that, we have a lot of checks. We have done encryption. We have done multi-factor authentication. But all that is underpinned by the quality of work you do around knowing your customer. So you can have all that, but as long as you don't have the starting point, you'll never get it right. Now, when you remember 5 years, 6 years ago again, you needed to come with a booklet of your auntie, your senga, your grandmother to open an account. Today, you need a national ID. Why do you need a national ID? Because of the evolution, because of the journey. Now, the national ID can give us a lot of data that we don't now need for you to bring what you needed to bring 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's the evolution. Shall we do better? I'm very certain.
We are going
with
to
the
do
support
better.
of the enthusiasts
and
the guys that understand this market even better.
Correct.
We are going to be able to innovate and do a lot much more within the next 2 years.
I love that.
One thing I'm sure of is we are unlikely to see an account being opened in a bank. And whoever stays in bed will not be a bank.
Absolutely.
Will miss out on the future.
Adons, there is a question here coming in from the tech dude. He says, how do your transaction fees for the digital banking compare to traditional banking fees? And are there any problems in place to subsidize the cost of digital banking for the economically disadvantaged?
Is this specific to the digital account?
Of course. This is where we are.
So define economically disadvantaged.
Economically disadvantaged. I think this is another time. I'll bring it to you and you'll break it down for us. Adons, over to you.
Yeah, so being a zero flex account and transaction fees, we mentioned bank wallet fees are free. Account maintenance fees are free. So this is a free account. So of course, if talking about economically disadvantaged, maybe we need to be more specific.
Because the refugees are already there.
Yeah, but there are quite a number of products that, we are a bank that is very innovative in terms of products and services. So that's something that we can as well look at and, offer alternative products for them. But these accounts, we should know that it's a free account. So the fees are already waived.
Okay. Erongo T. Moses, and this will come to you, Kato. How can the app be easily accessible and softly used up to those who are not so much literate to modern upgrades?
All right. I'm not a tech guru.
So help me God.
Yeah, so help me God. But I'll have a go at it.
Yes.
So one, we have gotten some feedback. Like we said, we listen to the customers, and our app will be upgraded probably within less than 30 days to make it more user-friendly. When we rolled out the current app, the assumption was that it's really robust. It's user-friendly, but that's 2-3 years ago. And like I said, the needs and preferences keep changing.
Yeah.
So we have also invested in that specific aspect. So our customers can be happy to look out for the upgrade on the mobile app that is going to be a lot more user-friendly, and it will create a different feel and interface within about 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for having this conversation. The enthusiasts, the ones who see in the future, in Kampala, they call them man of God. It's been such an honor to have this conversation with you. And to you, our great viewer as well as listener to this conversation, we have like 2 minutes to wrap up this conversation. And I want to tell you and to make a plea, my fellow Ugandans. The time has come to embrace the new era of financial convenience and interaction. Postbank Uganda ZeroFlex is not just the future, it is the present. And it's here to make sure that it eases your interactions with business, but not only that, to onboard as many people as you can within your community. There is power of you being the bank in your community. It doesn't matter whether your community, few people have smartphones, and when you have that one smartphone, use tech to transform your community. Why ZeroFlex is your game changer? It's seamless transaction. Imagine a world where you can pay school fees, pay rent, pay transport, buy merchandise back and forth easily without you getting out of your home or out of your sport. Financial inclusion for all. FlexPay, rather ZeroFlex here, has made it much more easier that it does not want anyone left behind. The refugee community, I've seen a message coming in from Wamala in Nachi Valley, and we can't thank you enough that you're listening into this conversation. Even those that are in such camps, they can be onboarded to this. ZeroFlex is the future. And empowering business and schools, suppliers, if you're a supplier and you just want, listen, you're making so much money, as much as you can make, because of how many hands you have. In this day and age, the only way to make more money is to automate some things. Now, ZeroFlex is here to make you scale, and you can only scale when you have platforms like ZeroFlex that will help you onboard as many people as you can, your suppliers, your different business counterparts to get on board. So the call to action I'm giving you today as we're finalizing this conversation, take this leap together. Let's harness the power of digital banking. And it starts today. A link to how you're going to join this is quite very simple. Just log on to your App Store or your Google Play Store and look for Postbank app. When you get that app, make sure that you register. Please be very authentic with what you're feeding that app. The turnaround time of the data being approved on the back end, it will take you like 5 minutes. And after that, you'll be in position to get into your app of Postbank. Their app there, as soon as you open, look for the ZeroFlex account. Open that account and let's have this journey together. And if not, spread the word. Encourage your friends and family and colleagues to join the ZeroFlex revolution. Engage and learn. Participate as much as you can. It doesn't matter who you've been listening to with this. Try it. We all have journeys where we're going to need communities, but the financial journey is a personal, intentional journey. And just so you know, if you want to reach out to the team for more clarity, please follow Postbank Uganda on Twitter. They're always there, they're vibrant, they'll be in position to respond to all your FAQs, or give them a call on 04171 57200. I'll take it slow for purposes of clarity. 0417 157 200. And in case you don't want to call but you have data, send them a WhatsApp on 0707 993 930. WhatsApp 0707 993 930. That is the WhatsApp conversation. And in case you still say I don't have data but you just want to call Itemu straight, free of charge, this is 0800 217 200. 0800 217 200. This is available 24 hours. And for those who are in the diaspora, please let's interact quite a lot more with the email address and the WhatsApp. So the email address is customer service, it's a compound word, at postbank.co.ug. Customer service at postbank.co.ug. If you've missed out anything today, especially when we're starting the very last half of the year, remember this. You have a chance to redeem your financial journey. And you can do this at ZeroFlex. Imagine a world where you're doing your banking and you don't have to pay any maintenance fee, any statement fee, but just you transacting business with the world around you. My name is Andrew Chamagero. Ndi muntu wa wansi nkukiririzaamu nnyo naye gulawo zero flex account onyumirwe omutimbagano n'ebya banking. Have a lovely evening. And cut. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
That was amazing.